Good morning, people. How are you? Yeah, I got to start these a little earlier because things happen to me and I have to go do stuff. Uh, so, uh, that. I'll just look for me by 11 o'clock is what it's going to be from now on. Any time after 10 and but before 11, all right? In that hour, look for me. I'll be here if you care. If you don't care, don't worry about it. Now, there's a deal where FIFA is trying to start something like another organization to control all their non-sporting event things that they're involved with, like the World Cup, to manage the World Cup and everything else. And they want the brother of his daughter's husband, Trump's daughter's husband, to run the thing. $20 billion company, but it's not all his. That's not all their money. But if they have any sense, they'll keep the Trump family, any member of it, out because they're like the kiss of death with that thing. And Trump is going to be messing with it and looking for special privileges because that's just the scumbag that he is. So I hope that doesn't happen. Now, going on right now as we're talking is a hearing involving Dr. Fauci, the doctor who got all the notoriety as head of the CDC back when what do you call it happened, pandemic and COVID, and I'm sitting there listening to it and watching this guy. He's taking the fifth, and I'm saying, here's a guy that I trusted and I thought was straight up honest and nothing to worry about. That Trump was just beating a dead horse, trying to make trouble and everything like that. And it turns around that this guy might not have been all everything he said he was. I don't know why he's taking the fifth because I'm not privileged to the question. I wasn't watching the hearing. I was just reading the article about the hearing. And now I'm saying to myself, here's a guy that I don't know what to say. I really, really don't know what to say about this. It's really shocking to me that a guy that was so respected is in a hearing, and he's been in other hearings, and all of a sudden he's taking the fifth. You know what the fifth is? The Fifth Amendment of the Constitution is self-incriminating. In other words, you say I refuse to answer the questions on the grounds that it may it's a terminology may incriminate me. And that just scares the shit out of me now. I don't know. Trump has got so much confusion going on that you don't know what to believe, and it's really starting to be pathetic. I don't know what to do about it, so we'll sit here and try to find out later on. Maybe we'll bring it back tomorrow. It's another story to talk about. Another big story. They're all big stories. I don't understand. There's nothing really nice going on. Russia has been helping Iran target Americans. And apparently Trump doesn't give a shit, which doesn't surprise me at all. He's never had any respect for the military or people in the military. He believes they're just there to die for him, to be used as chess pieces like pawns, which is the lowest value chess piece there is, which is a mistake because if you know how to play the game of chess, they can be very, very, very valuable. But he's doesn't know how to play tiddlywinks, and he's a disgusting individual who's out there doing all kinds of bad things for with everybody. And I really, I really, really, really don't understand why uh, this is going unpunished. You know, there was a there was they were CNN was talking to people last night before I changed the channel to watch something goofy instead of the news. Uh, they they were talking to people that were they believe Putin is very in a very weak position right now, and that may or may not be true. First of all, I don't think we have really good intelligence anywhere in the world right now. Um, because of the people that have been involved with the National Security Agency and everything else that's going on. CIA, Trump is screwing with everything because he doesn't want them caught. Trump wants the information to use in private conversations. You know, Trump's trying to be like J. Edgar Hoover and LBJ. They walked around with little black books in their pocket that, you know, with every dirty little secret anybody had. You know, that's what Trump wants. The only problem is he's the one with all the dirty little secrets. He's the one that's the crook, the main man. You know, he involves other people. His art of the deal was to get, first of all, is to use other people's money. You know that. I know that. And then the second part of it was to get people to do things for him that they shouldn't do, so that he's not involved in the deal. Basically, he just comes up with the idea, goes around, does the deal, and then, you know, and that's not right, folks. We all know that's not right. That he's just, you know, scum of the earth. You know, this shirt's not blue; it's gray. It looks blue on my monitor. Must be a time to replace this monitor, I guess. But well, it's to replace the whole computer, I guess. I have to find out how much they cost. Anyhow, uh, that's, you know, a bad story right there. Americans are dying, and he doesn't care that that Russia is helping kill them. You know, Trump just doesn't care, and that's something people have got that they upset about him in a lot of different things. But this is the most important thing to be pissed off about Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't care what happens to the average American. You know, he's not shoot the guy next to him and he'll get upset because he's got blood on his clothes. He's not going to look at him first. He's going to look at his clothes. That's just the way he is. He's so self-centered, so ridiculously closed-minded about so many different things. It's like with what's FD Kennedy in the health administration. Now he's put the onus on Kennedy to prove, which has happened 17 times, dozens of times already. It's been scientifically disproved that there is a connection between autism and vaccines. Okay? That's why you've got so many more cases of diseases that were removed from vaccines. By vaccines, we had no more measles. Now we have the second time in 2 years that we're up to 35 higher than the last 35 years. That record last year got broken this year, and you're going to be back to epidemic proportions with measles. Trump doesn't care. Because trust me, he gets vaccines automatically. If there's a vaccine for it, he's got it. All right, that's the president of the United States. because he travels so much and everything else. And all the other politicians have it. Trust me, if they want it, they got it. No problems, no hang-ups, no nothing. Okay, so they don't care, especially the Republicans. They don't care about the little kid in the corner getting measles and not being able to go to school. And I forget all the side effects of measles, but there's a lot of them if it's not taken care of right away. You know, I had, I don't think I got the measles, but I had what they call the German measles. German measles you could get twice, and I got twice. So there's stuff out there that can hurt you, that we have the ability to protect you against, but apparently Trump doesn't want to protect you against it. Doesn't think you ought to be protected against it because he doesn't believe it's necessary. You know, uh, whatever Trump's getting, there's a side effect to it. It's called stupidity. That's Donnie, and I don't know, how we're going to handle that because he's stupid. Donald Trump is absolutely insane. Well, I wouldn't say he's insane. I'd say he's just nowhere near as smart as everybody says he is or he thinks he is. It's just not there. There's no proof of that. There's a lot of proof that he's crazy, and I don't think he's crazy. I really don't. I think he's probably a certain degree of dementia, which we all get at 8. When you hit 80, you start to forget people's names, especially me because I've never been good with names. I remembered names by the fact that if from work I remembered everybody's name, but when I was 10 in bar, it was like, what do you oh yeah, Tanqueray Martini, straight up twist, bone dry. Which was straight gin, really. Shot of gin with a lemon twist, chilled. So that's a very strange world we live in. I still can't figure out how people believe this guy when every time he turns around he lies. Yet they think he's great for the country. That goes back to asking a friend of mine, this guy I knew one time, and he said, we were talking about politics. He said, "Are you Republican?" He says to me, "Are you a Republican or Democrat?" I said, "I think I'm more or less an independent. I like to. Right now, I vote Democratic because my mother needs to vote. But I basically said I'm an independent. I take a look at the people that are there, and I make a selection between the two candidates. Sometimes I don't vote for that particular office because I don't think anybody's good belongs there. And I do something stupid. I write in, howdy doody or something, just to screw with them." And there was a period where I just didn't vote because it just bothered me. Very inconvenient from where I lived and everything else. And it was they were really good. And this decision, okay, uh, and then I saw what they did. It just So I started doing this. I'm an independent. I'm a registered Democrat, which I think is stupid, but I did that for my mother's sake, and I never changed it because I haven't got time to go down there and change it because I'm dealing with people that are older than me. And so I sat around and I said, what should I? What? Why do I vote? Why do I say I'm an independent? Because I said I'd rather look at the people. And trust me, You get tired of voting for the lesser of two evils, but that's what it boils down to a lot of times, especially if you're voting independent. You're selecting the lesser of two evils. You have to look at these people to try to get their voting record if you can, stuff, whatever, check whatever you possibly can about the candidate before you vote for the guy. And Donald Trump got in like Reagan got in, celebrity, And the Republicans loved Reagan, and they still love Reagan. He's like conservative, whatever you want to call him. But those of us that are older understand. Some don't understand this. So even the old people don't know this. But when Reagan was president, there was a law passed that the budget had to be balanced. And if something happened, they couldn't balance the budget. They were looking for extra money. And they turned around and they looked at Social Security. The most successful program at that time in the history of U.S. government, all right? Didn't have to borrow money, didn't look for money. They just had the money, all right? Okay, fine. So what do? They borrow from it. Of course, they haven't paid it back. Okay? But that started a trend. And that started the downward fall of Social Security. And then Trump gets rid of all these immigrants. And now, look, I'm not saying that they're all good or they're all bad, but it's a big push. Hundreds of thousands of immigrants have been sent out of this country already, or they've lost their jobs, and they're not contributing to Social Security. People are losing their jobs through AI, improvements in technology and whatnot that are removing the need for human beings. Nobody's contributing to Social Security. In 2038, the Social Security office will be basically broke. And that's Trump's fault. All right. That's Reagan, Trump, and the Republicans' fault. Not all of it, because the Democrats borrowed money from Social Security too. Okay? They found out there's a pot of gold sitting there. And that's what Trump wants. Trump wants to get all that money himself. Doesn't want it to go to you people. He wants that money in his control. The Republicans have wanted that for years. I'm beginning, with stuff like this going on, and Trump threatening to, trying to fix the elections. I sit back and I say to myself, the only way the sad thing about this whole story is the only way that it looks like we're ever going to be able to solve this unique problem we have is through some sort of revolution or something, or coup or something like that, And I don't want to see that, because nobody really wins in that situation. And you end up with bad people in office, because you're not having a choice. You're just, whoever wins. And you're not electing them, they're taking over. But maybe the only way the government gets changed. And when I say the government gets changed, I don't mean that we go from democracy to something else. I just mean that the people in charge get replaced somehow or another. All right, people, I've been here for a long time, ranting and raving as usual. So that's it for me. And I'll see you mañana.